Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for inquiring about the price of this or any Watchbox watch. Email me for pricing at tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today's model was introduced in 2008 and made through the model family's short production lifetime of 2008 to 2011. This is the IWC Vintage Pilot's Watch. The 3254-04, this is the white gold variant, inspired by the original 1930s IWC Pilot's Watch. So what we have here is modern in size, 44 millimeters in diameter in white gold. It's surprisingly svelte at 11.8 millimeters thick. From lug tip to lug tip, it is substantial at 53.1 millimeters with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is oval in profile and 16 centimeters in circumference, and we're right to the limit of what's acceptable. You can see that the lugs are out to the edge of my wrist. They're not over, but you can see they're dwelling there. They're looming at the edge of my wrist. So if your wrist is smaller than mine, you want a different IWC Pilot's watch like a Mark. But if you've got a 16 centimeter circumference wrist or larger, you're going to find this wears well and looks great. It's also surprisingly thin. At under 12 millimeters thick, it will fit underneath a cuff, so you can dress it up if you like. Taking a look at the strap, you can see it's pilot style, which means calfskin with a contrasting stitch. It's got a matte finish. It's got a sheer cut side showing thick layers of leather. It's a brand new IWC factory strap, calfskin on the bottom as well. We have an IWC pin buckle with a combination of polish and satin, and though the watch is white gold, take note the buckle itself is made of stainless steel. The case is handsomely faceted. You can see that although it's simple, there's a distinct break between the lug profile and the case. And this watch also has another element that's distinctive of the vintage Pilot watches from the 1930s built by IWC, and that's the thin case profile. In fact, it seems that thin mid-case profiles are distinctive of all early to mid 20th century watches. Watch profiles didn't become really thick and sheer until the late 1990s. So you've got that lug that's broken out from the case band, satination all the way through, a svelte profile, polishing on the lug hoods as well as on the bezel, and then a tapered profile to the lugs, which are flatted off on their bottom. You can see that the crown is a more modern piece, although it has a vintage profile when viewed in profile. When viewed end on, it has a modern IWC logo and Probus Scafusia motto. After all, a good solid watch made in Schaffhausen. These are German-Swiss watches made in the northeast of the country, far from the watch valley of the west. So we have a push-down crown here that gives you more water resistance than I expected at 60 meters. That's about twice what you expect from a standard pilot's watch. If you take a look, you can see a surprise. The bezel is a captive bezel. You can see it's fixed in place using a couple of screws. This is something seen on bezels from Breitling and Zinn, and usually on very extreme sports watches that need extra protection against bezel displacement. Well, the screws keep the bezel on, so it's not snapped on as it is on an Omega or Rolex, so it can't easily be snapped off. Now, I feel they probably used that on a white gold quasi-dress watch because this is a rotating, seamless, smooth gliding bezel that doesn't have any underlying click or ratchet to hold it in place. It does move incredibly smooth, as though there's a Teflon-coated Norglide bearing underneath, which there may very well be. True to history, it features a movable index, but there's no calibration on the knurling, so you have to glance at the relative orientation of the minute hand and the index and pretty much guess how many minutes or seconds are elapsed. We have lovely metallic applied Arabic numerals. We have cathedral-style hands, including a lovely heart hour. We'll do a quick loom shot. The watch actually has plenty of loom. You can see that the index of the bezel is also loomed. And then we have what IWC would describe as an ardoise or sunburst metallic gray dial, with the exception of the sunken sub-register down at 6 o'clock, which has a counterweighted Lancet-style seconds hand, sectors for seconds, and then you can see that there's a concentric pattern giving texture to that dial. Turning it all over, we have an IWC pocket watch movement properly sized for this case, descended from the legendary IWC 98 series pocket watches. This is the 98-300. It's 37.8 millimeters in diameter, which makes it exceptionally suited to this large watch. There's a manual wind 46-hour power reserve, and it beats away at a nice vintagey 18,000 vibrations per hour, pivots on 18 jewels. It's adjusted in 5 positions, which means in most positions it's going to keep excellent time. And to further minimize the effect of gravity on timing. There is an overcoil hairspring that maximally centers the mass of the hairspring so it doesn't change its breathing from concentric in different positions. It also has what might be the world's largest hacking lever. You could see it right underneath my thumb, but you can really see it moving to stop the balance and then moving away when I return the crown into position. So it does have a stop seconds function. It's a very vintagey layout, as we have a balance that's almost the radius of the movement, a true center wheel architecture, a 3/4 bridge like a pocket watch. You can see we have little golden cups or chaton holding the center, third, fourth, and escape wheel pivots, again, as it would have been done in the 19th century and early 20th century at IWC. We have this extended, oversized, black polished Jones Arrow Index, a micrometric regulation system favored by the American founder of IWC back in 1868, F.A. Jones of Boston. And you'll also appreciate that it's very elemental. You can see the transmission of energy from the crown to the crown wheel to the ratchet wheel, which sits on top of the barrel, then center wheel, third wheel, fourth wheel, and the escapement, which is fully visible. There's stripes across the bridges, engine turning on the base plate. There's a lovely, neat machined anglage on the edge of all the bridges. We have black polished screws. You can see satination on an exceptional swan's neck style pocket watch inspired click spring, and we have a little extensible pocket watch inspired click to prevent the barrel from running backwards. All of this water resistant down to 30 meters. A good looking movement in a rare watch from an esteemed brand with real history behind it, both as a brand and as a model. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.